Welcome to the I Got Next Wilder Fury pre-fight show. I am Jonesy, the Podfather, and today we are with our special guest. These gentlemen have come to collaborate with the Men of Order group, and these guys are sharp guys that are in the fight game. They're really big into MMA, boxing. They have their site picking winners, man, and I want to introduce my buddies, man. Keith and Tom from picking winners, man. How you guys doing today, bro?
Great. How are you?
Hey, man, I can't be better, man. I love boxing. It's my favorite sport, man. And I am excited for this fight, man. I've been waiting, man. COVID kind of ruined it, and now we're here, man. And man, I just can't wait, man.
Yeah, this is an exciting card. I know we're stoked.
Yeah, man. I listened for the listeners out there and for the people out there. I wanted to show you guys a little montage video, man, to get you guys hyped up, and then we're gonna get into a little, the bones of the fight. We're gonna break this down for you guys and get you guys hyped up and ready for the night. So here we go.
I've travelled the world my whole life, and I never find a man to beat me. There ain't one born, so Deontae Wilder, unless you're gonna get reborn, you ain't beating me, son.
My mindset is very violent. It done turned me into a monster. I ain't come to do nothing but get back what's mine. And I want it back in blood.
And Fury eats it well, but back comes Fury. Oh my goodness, they're fighting even after the bell. Both men with very entertaining ring walks. A right hand. Wilder got clipped.
It was Deontae Wilder.
A right hand by Fury against Otto Wallin.
With a punch as simple as the jab and win the first couple rounds.
A right hand down goes.
Yeah, man. Look, man, I can't be more excited, fellas. So guys, this fight's been a long time coming, man. And there's been a lot of politics going on. There's been a lot of legal ramifications to get this fight going. What do you guys, thinking about what we're gonna see tonight?
Well, personally, I think we're going to see Tyson Fury go out there and, he's a heavy guy. And it's funny watching him spar, hit the bag with all of his back fat jiggling, but he moves with the grace of a gazelle. And really ask anybody who knows boxing, and Deontay Wilder's boxing skills and ability just do not compare to Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder has what we in the MMA community call the magic eraser with his right hand. Any issue, problem, any punches he could take, any, bad things that happen with the fight can magically be erased if he connects with the right hand. Now, here's the thing. In the first fight and even in the second fight, he did connect with the right hand a couple times, and it wasn't enough to put out Tyson Fury. So he added more muscle, but then Deontay Wilder has now brought in a trainer who it's his first time ever being a boxing trainer. And this guy has been knocked out by Deontay Wilder himself. So there's a lot of question marks surrounding Deontay Wilder. What's he going to do when he came in? Because Tyson Fury, at the end of the first fight and throughout all of the second fight, had figured him out. He knows that Deontay Wilder cannot stand with him as a boxer technically, and he knows that he can't box moving backwards. So in the last 18 months, what has Deontay Wilder done besides add more muscle or, hopefully learn to box moving backwards?
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Listen, Deontay Wilder doesn't have the pedigree that Tyson Fury has. In boxing, experience is key. Tyson Fury had an extensive amateur career. He's been fighting and he's been in the ring, man, since he was 9 years old. The guy didn't even go to high school because of his amateur career. He's a lifelong boxer where, Deontay Wilder is just, a great athlete who, played basketball. And, at a later stage in his life, he got into boxing. And listen, he is a prodigy because he moved through his amateur career and got into the Olympics and won a bronze medal after only being in the ring for 3 years. So, you know, he is a fast learner. The thing, you know, that I see is that, you know, there's something that I noticed with the second fight. As you said, Tyson Fury figured out that Deontay Wilder can't fight going backwards. But conversely, Tyson Fury added something that he never had before. He added power. Now, why did he have this power in this fight when previously to his career, he's always been a great fighter? He's probably one of the best pure technical fighters at his size ever. You know what I mean? He moves. I mean, the only heavyweight I can think of that moves as well as he does is Muhammad Ali. And that's a lot to be said for a guy that's 6'9", 269. The thing is that Tyson Fury never had any power. And with a guy like Deontay Wilder, you have to give him something and hit him with something to keep him from landing probably the best right hand in the history of boxing. So why all of a sudden do you think that Tyson Fury all of a sudden developed power?
Well, I don't think it necessarily takes power to knock someone out all the time. I think it can be a series of technical punches landing on the button that accumulate over time. And, you know, we see that a lot in the MMA world, where guys, you know, get knocked out in the third round, and it's just because they've been receiving this onslaught of punishment over and over and over and over again. So I think
that's not what happened in that fight. That's not what happened.
You don't think Tyson Fury was laying it on Deontay Wilder in the second fight?
Well, what I saw was him landing one big shot to his ear, ruining his equilibrium, and Wilder not being able to recover. You know what I mean? So like that was a big shot, bro. I've never seen Tyson Fury, you know, ever land a shot that big. He's never really been a guy to knock guys out. And, you know, Deontay Wilder, for me, you know what I mean, has always been game. You could say what you want about him. He's sloppy, he's wild, but I've never seen him get that hurt that fast in a fight. So we got to ask ourselves, Keith, do you think that Tyson Fury was doctoring his gloves? There have been rumors that Tyson Fury doctored his gloves. There have been rumors egg weight in his gloves. What do you think, man?
It's tough. You know, the thing is, though, is that in boxing, you are allowed to have a guy on your team go into the other man's locker room, check out his gloves, see what's going on ahead of time. You know, everything is done like for that reason. You know, we've seen this in a couple of fights too. That's the whole reason why there was that Tyron Woodley, Jake Paul beef, because he was in Jake Paul's locker room checking out his gloves. So if there really was some sort of doctoring going on with Tyson Fury's gloves, then whoever Deontay Wilder had go into Tyson Fury's locker room pre-fight should have seen that going on, should have spoke up, should have said something. So if there was some sort of cheating going on in that fight, then Deontay Wilder's team, his coaching staff, is just as much to blame in that as Tyson Fury would be. That's my, you know, yeah.
You're absolutely right, man. Mark Breland definitely dropped the ball. I mean, you know, I'm going to show you guys a little graphic, and I want to see what you think about this. Look at the indentation in Tyson Fury's glove. You know, and to me, and I'm not accusing him of anything, and a lot of people think that was kind of a weak excuse, you know, but the indentation in Tyson Fury's glove and the mark that was in Deontay Wilder's head, to me, there's just something a little wrong about that, you know, like, you know, me watching him in the first fight and, you know, Fury not pressing the action. Fury kind of staying on the outside and not wanting to get hit with that right hand, and him so confidently diving in and coming forward in the second fight. There was a marketable, and I don't think it has anything to do with the weight that he put on. And I know Sugar Hill Stewart trained him, and that's how they fight out of the Kronk gym. You know, even when Emmanuel Stewart was alive, when he had Thomas Hitman Hearns and back in the days with Mike McCallum, there's something a little wrong about the damage that Wilder sustained in that fight. To me, that's just me, guys, and I'm gonna let you finish, Tom.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think, you know, especially nowadays, a lot of those, like, you know, you're seeing stills. I would want to go back and I want to see, you know, Deontay Wilder's head, like, post-fight with the dent in it moving around, because personally, when I look at those, unless it's a video. You know, in the movement of a fight, you remember these are 270-pound men throwing with everything they have. I mean, you know, who's not to say that, you know, there could be like some aspect of just wind or movement or what have you that makes one particular angle of I mean, we've all seen pictures where of one angle it looks like one thing, and you know, you get it of a different angle and it looks completely different. So I think there may be a degree of that potentially happening, which is why I would want to go back and look at, you know, kind of just a video of that incident where they got the still from, and just check it out for myself, because I'm very skeptical these days. I want to do the research myself. I'm not going to, you know, dive too deeply just because I see a couple stills. That being said, you know, Tyson Fury, after he got knocked down at the end of the first fight, when he got up, he kind of metaphorically, you know, said, screw this, I'm just going to come at you. And that's when he figured out that he could go and he can fight Deontay Wilder, and he doesn't have to bob and weave and avoid the right hand. He can just go and onslaught him, and Deontay Wilder won't be able to throw the right hand. So he learned that at the end of the first fight, then specifically trained that, and that's where his confidence came in, knowing, I know that I know how to beat Deontay Wilder. Nobody else does, and I don't think Deontay Wilder knows how I think I can beat him. So he came into that fight extra confident, training a specific thing. I mean, it's just like, to bring it back to MMA, it's like when Rose Namajunas fought Zhang Weili, and she knew that Zhang Weili is going to watch her legs, and if she can fake the low kick, Zhang Weili will move back. So she knew this, went in, faked the low kick, and then went up top because Zhang Weili was expecting the low kick to her legs, slid her leg out to try to avoid the low kick, but it wasn't there. It came up, hit her in the top of the head, knocked her out, and it was an ultimate example of what game planning can look like when it's executed to a T. And I think that's what we're seeing or saw with Tyson Fury in the second fight, and that's why you're like, hey, well, where did he develop his power? I don't think it was power. I think Deontay Wilder was getting pieced up. You're definitely right. There was a big shot landed to his ear, and it definitely messed up his equilibrium. They took a couple stitches to repair it. They thought that he ruptured an eardrum during the broadcast, and it turned out that, you know, they had to just sew it up. But that's still going to mess up your equilibrium. But more than anything, that I think points to Deontay Wilder just being outclassed is the litany of excuses that he came with. I mean, everywhere from thinking his coach poisoned him in his water to you know, oh, my suit was too heavy. I mean, everything, to the egg weights, to the, you know, there's just so many, I can't even keep track. But he came out with so many excuses, and I that makes me think that someone's unconfident when they're pointing the fingers at everybody else.
See, so, and guys, hey, let me go and introduce, you know, my co-host Chad. Chad, welcome.
Howdy. I'm out here I'm at a birthday party, so it's kind of crazy over here. But I've been watching, I've been listening, and I've heard all the conspiracy theories, and I've heard the debunking of the conspiracy theories. I'm just gonna say I have my own tinfoil Kofi moment that I'm gonna bring up.
Oh shit! Not the tinfoil Kofi.
I think Deontay Wilder's gonna win this fight because Drake jinxed him.
That's a good point. That's a great point. That's a great point. I was gonna say everything's pointing at Tyson Fury to win. Everything, including him being cocky. He's wearing the black and gold robe. He's doing the interviews with Ariel Helwani. He's doing everything that is supposed to jinx you. And I think it's gonna. I think he's overconfident. I think Deontay Wilder's gonna win.
Listen,
I'm gonna
catch him with one. That Versace robe alone. That's a curse. That's a curse in and of itself.
Listen, I'm deep in the boxing world. You know, I've been watching Fury for a long time, and I've watched Tyson Fury fight the Klitschko's. You know, I've watched Tyson Fury fight. Everybody that there is to fight. A lot of people have been running from this guy for a long time. I've never seen Tyson Fury come forward the way he did with Deontay Wilder. Right now, that goes a lot to the style of trainer that he got rid of. You know what I mean? All of the fighters that come out of the Crunk Gym come forward. They even made Lennox Lewis more aggressive when Emmanuel Stewart was alive and they had Lennox Lewis. With that being said, there is something a little fishy about the fact that, conversely, as you say, Deontay Wilder made excuses, the fact that they spent millions of dollars to try to get out of this fight. They spent millions of dollars of litigation trying to get out of this fight. So what is going on in the Fury camp to spend a year and a half to try to get out of a fight that they were contractually obligated to fulfill?
For hundreds of $millions. Teddy Atlas said it best. They should have paid off Deontay Wilder with $5, $10, $15, $20 million, whatever it took, so that Deontay Wilder can go kick rock somewhere, and then they could have gotten the Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury fight, which in I think it was
Wembley
Saudi
Stadium,
Arabia.
it'd be huge.
In Saudi Arabia, they were offering them like $150 million site fees just for it. So you're talking $75 million a fighter each. So yeah, I'll sacrifice 10, 15, whatever it takes to give to Deontay Wilder so I can get this. You know, it's a business, right? So that's why I would try to get out of it. Not because if I'm Tyson Fury, because I'm afraid of Deontay Wilder. I'm getting out of it because the money fight's Anthony Joshua.
Well, see, this is the problem that I see within that. The Joshua Fury fight could have happened before the Wilder fight, right? And then Wilder and Joshua were supposed to make that fight. They were never able to make it, right? Bob Arum was never going to make that fight unless they got all the terms on Fury's side. Joshua and them, they were never going to let that happen. I don't think that fight was ever going to happen unless they capitulated to Bob Arum. That's why this fight never happened. So if you go into a fight with the Deontay Wilder, who actually fought you the first time and was the ape side of the card and fulfilled that rematch clause for you, what would make you think you were going to get out of that? You were never getting out of that. As soon as he said that, no, I want it back, and he lost, you knew you were going to have to fight this guy again. That was an ironclad rematch clause, and everybody knows that was going to happen. Now, I understand that he spent $100 million to try to get out of the fight, to try to make more money over there. But the way I look at it is that, Tyson Fury still has 3 fights left in his tank. So if he's as confident as he say he is, he should be able to take care of his business with Wilder tonight. And then now the Joshua fight is kind of flushed down the toilet now because Joshua lost last week. But be that as it may, you know what I mean? They could still make that fight. You know, Joshua, the kid that just beat Joshua really doesn't have a following to where, Fury's going to go in and fight this guy and it's going to make any kind of positive gains monetarily. So they can still make the Joshua fight just based off of the fact they're both from the UK.
Yeah, but they're not champions. I mean, you know as well as I do that timing is everything, and that's the problem that boxing has as compared to the likes of MMA. Like, you could talk about fighter pay as much as you want, but if you want to talk about like what's going to catch on in popularity, it's going to be MMA, and it's going to be faster because they can put better fights together quicker. You don't have to worry about all the sides in the litigation like you're talking about.
See, I disagree. MMA never allows for there to be a rivalry. But by the time you get guys that are building their repertoire up, they put these guys against each other and they beat their champions faster than any other sport. And the only reason why you have guys that have sustained through the sport is because you had a guy like John Jones who's otherworldly dominant. You know what I mean? You had George St. Pierre before that, and you had Anderson Silva. But most of the time, they don't get a chance to even make a guy that's popular enough to make a gate as big as boxing. Like, if MMA is on this rise, which MMA's been out, the UFC's been around since I was a kid, they should be able to put $100 million card together for these guys. A lot of the problem with UFC is that these guys aren't agents on their own. If a lot of these guys need to move to a place where they're promoting themselves and they can work out the best deal for themselves and leave Dana White and the UFC behind. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys are going in the ring and they're getting their careers destroyed too early. They're getting their confidence destroyed too early. And you make a fight for the moment, that's great, but there's no build up to a lot of these fights. Listen, for me, I watch MMA, I like MMA, but I think there's, MMA is not perfect. A lot of you young MMA guys, you guys kind of shit on boxing, and then everybody in MMA, for them to actually eat and make money, they got to come over to boxing and put on some circus show to actually make money.
I think some of that though comes from the fact that the whole the boxing game itself, I don't know what the from a marketing standpoint and from a development of that build up to those big blockbuster type fights that we used to have back when you and I were growing up, Jonesy, in the 80s and the early 90s, and even into the 2000s. It was like a different vibe, I feel like. And granted, MMA wasn't there to compete with it. Yeah. But I think that like what MMA has done is they filled that gap of like all that boredom that people used to have when there weren't those fights. And now people have something to look for. Now, yeah, you can talk about the fact that the money disparity is there, because it is. Like it's legit that like they don't pay the fighters what they probably should for the punishment they go through and for what they are doing for UFC, for some of the other MMA, agencies and stuff like that. But it's still this Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder trio, this little trilogy is actually the best thing that they've had in boxing for a long time. And it's still, I don't know, like I wonder, like it would be really cool if we had like two like really, really proficient, skilled tacticians in the ring and not have something where it was so I think Wilder's basically got to catch him with one, otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that. We all know that Deontay Wilder is he probably has the most devastating right hand in the history of the sport. So, he always has a shot because he has that element. But what I can say about this event is one of the 3 biggest sporting events all year. And when you look at that goes to show you the lure that good boxing brings to the sporting landscape. You got guys like Tyron Woodley that have come over into boxing. You can't even really call what that was, boxing. And he made the biggest purse of his career fighting a YouTuber in a boxing ring. You know what I mean? So my thing about, mixed martial arts, I'm a fan of mixed martial arts. I just think that the UFC and the way they're paying these guys and the way that they don't allow these guys to kind of dictate the way their own career goes, I think it's a problem. It's also a problem in boxing because you have too many governing bodies and you got guys that are able to run around and you have 6 guys calling themselves heavyweight champion of the world. So somewhere in the middle, these sports need to be cleaned up a little bit. Like when it comes to the UFC, I love the sport. I just feel like a lot of these guys now are not getting what they should get out of it. You know what I mean? I think it's a shame that these guys are putting their lives on the line like that. These are the 2 sports where you can go into the ring and you can die. And you got guys going in the ring and making $2 million. Like that, to me, that's nonsense. And I see how much money the UFC makes week after week after week. There has to be another alternative to this. You know what I mean? Like I enjoyed the UFC more when a lot of those guys were able to go overseas and get the same kind of engagement that they used to do back in Pride, when Pride was big and stuff like that before they got destroyed. I think UFC had something when you had that competition. You still have competition, but it's just not the same. And the UFC is just so dominant that I think it kind of ruins a lot of the rivalries that can be made because they kind of go for the jugular too fast and they put these guys in the ring too fast. Like, there's nothing wrong with building up a little rivalry. You fight this guy, you fight that guy, then we get on next year and build the fight up a little bit. That's just my opinion. But listen, go ahead, Keith.
No, I was about to say, I'm with you on your point before about how there's, I think there's 138 active world boxing champions out there right now. And with the UFC at the moment, there's 1 for every weight class. So it is way cleaner in that aspect where it's like, okay, you can identify who the top couple of guys in every single women in every single weight class in the UFC are. There's a lot of people you can be like, okay, I'm going to follow this person throughout their career and be a fan of. But for the average or casual boxing fan, you might be watching one fight this week and they're saying, okay, this guy is the heavyweight champion of the world. And then you watch another one. It's 2 people you've never seen before. And they're telling you these are the heavyweight champions of the world. So it's definitely a lot cleaner in that aspect. It makes it easier to follow. And I think boxing is so, the problem with having everybody be their own promoter and everybody under, maybe the WBC banner, but it's just not clean in that aspect from a fan standpoint. So that's why I think the UFC is kind of stepping up a little bit right now in terms of growth and popularity, and boxing is starting to slip a little bit, but there are other competing bodies starting to pop up. See, I like what that guy just said down in the comments down below. It's also not about the money for him. Like you look at Dustin Poirier, and he's in there for the glory more than anything. He's in there, he's got this guy Conor McGregor saying, your wife is in me DMs, and he's going out there to break his legs and break his face and everything. So
you know what? But you know what? At the end of the day, that sounds good. But this is what this man does for a living. It's not like he's bagging groceries for a living. He's fighting for a living. So he is in it for the money. I think that altruistic way to look at things is nonsense. You know, these guys are in there. They're getting paid to fight. They're not doing it for free. So, like, when people say, oh, the MMA guys aren't in it for the money, that's bullshit. These guys are in there. They're putting their lives on the line. They have people that are training them, that are eating off of them. They have people in their camp who, you know, they need to feed. Everybody is in this for the money. Let's make no mistake about it. You know what I mean? And you give any – go ahead, Tom.
I want to push back on that a little bit. Certainly a lot of people, the overwhelming majority, are in it for the money. But I think the upper echelon, the top percent – I mean, look at what Tyson Fury just said to Anthony Joshua about the Alexander Usyk rematch. He said, I will train you, and I will do it for free because it's not about money. I mean,
Bro,
it is
those
about
guys
money in the
hate
sense
each
that
other.
He'll train him. He'll train him so that he could beat Usyk, so that they could get their rematch down the line. And I guess ultimately it is about money. But for guys like Conor McGregor or Tyson Fury, it's about winning. And winning is who they are. It's part of their personality. Fighting is part of their personality. If they don't fight, that's removing part of who they are.
So
Money
Conor
or not,
McGregor,
like, they need to fight.
So Conor McGregor, the guy who flushed his career down the toilet in another sport, fighting one of the greatest fighters of all time, and made the biggest purse of his career, and is running around, you know, at the VMAs throwing shit at people.
That's not what made him rich.
Yeah, the Floyd fight made him rich. You know,
that's not what made him rich. The proper 12 made him rich.
Bro, the Floyd fight, he made $100 million for the first time in his life on that Floyd fight. The proper 12 was icing on the cake after that. Conor McGregor made the most money in his life when he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. And I'm gonna tell you something. All you guys, you know, listen. This is we're supposed to be doing a pre-fight, and this isn't a debate about MMA and boxing. But for guys to tell me that people who are cashing $100 million checks isn't in it for the money is laughable to me. If it's not for the money, then fight for free. Fight for free. Go online and just fight for free in the back alley like Kimbo Slice used to do. These guys are doing that shit to get paid. Let's make no mistake about it.
But there's something to be said for guys like Conor and Floyd, who being rich and touting it is part of their persona. And if they can't do, like, the money is part of this character that they play. And so, yeah, they like the money, but they also need the money to perpetuate the ego and the persona that they made. It's a vicious cycle. So, like, I don't think when you say that, yes, it's about the money in the sense that, like, everybody wants to attain more assets and more money, but I don't think it's purely about the money in the sense that, like, they're just trying to stack their bank accounts. They're trying to get money so they can buy things to show off that persona. So I think that the money is like a means to an end. It's a vicious cycle.
I don't know, man. I mean, look, listen, you got to love something to do it as much as, like, a guy like Floyd Mayweather, who, you know, the times I've been out in Las Vegas, I've seen Floyd Mayweather myself with my own eyes running around Las Vegas, even when he has to have a fight. Floyd Mayweather walks the street at 148 pounds, right? Mm-hmm. Yo, Tyson Fury, yeah, he loves the sport. You got to love what you do to a certain extent to do it that much. But when we talk about what they're in, it's prize fighting, bro. And there's got to be a prize at the end of that. So, like, when people try to give me this altruistic bullshit about, oh, he do it for free, like, nah. They're in this shit for the money. They're professional fighters. They have a lot of people depending on them, and it is a business. And, like, yo, Tyson Fury can say, oh, I'll train Joshua for free. He knows that's never going to happen. Them guys hate each other. They can't stand each other. Why would Anthony Joshua, if he knew down the line he was going to fight Tyson Fury, let that man train him so the guy can pick him apart when they fight? Doesn't make any sense, bro. He's just talking out of his ass, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, I know.
But, like, let me move. Go ahead, Chad.
Their teams and everything, like, okay, all right, so let's say Conor McGregor wants to do this for free just because he loves it. What's he going to do? Tell his trainers and everybody else, like, and his promoters and everybody, like, nah, man, I'm not paying y'all either. Or he's going to pay them out of his own pocket. And then, you know what I mean? So it's almost, I get it. Like, there's the money part of it is what it is. But I don't think that means that they're not, like, in it for the love of the sport either, though. I think I think you can be both.
Listen, we're gonna listen to this man right here in the chat. It's for the money, goddammit. It's for the money.
This is when you run the damn board, like, you just fucking only promote people who agree with you. I know how.
That's right. Listen. I'm trying to be nice. You know what I'm saying? Because these are our new partners and stuff. And, you know, they don't know how much of a douchebag I am. But listen, I am Jonesy the Podfather, and I am a shameless self-promoter and an unapologetic grifter. So I'm definitely going to put up the people that agree with me. So let me put that up again. It's for the money. Enough of this nonsense.
Shout out to the winners crowd. Thank you, Keith and Tom. This is I appreciate y'all pushing back on Jonesy, because no one man should have all that power. That's all I'm saying.
So I'm gonna mute you right now. Now listen, we're gonna
I was
go
muting myself, damn it, and I unmuted myself while I was trying to do it. God damn, man, just let me do my thing.
Nah, I'm messing around with you. No, but no, listen. So all right, so basically, we're at an impasse here. You know, like for me, I haven't gave my prediction yet. Keith, you haven't given your prediction yet. You know, how do you see this fight playing out, Keith?
So on paper, and you know, when you watch, obviously Tyson Fury is the way more sound technical fighter. You know, you go back and watch videos from the last fight, and he's dodging everything down in the corner up against the ropes. It looks like Deontay Wilder couldn't even touch him. So he's the better boxer.
No,
you got Deontay Wilder. Yeah, we mentioned, though, he's got the eraser. He's got that right hand that can put you to sleep with one shot. I think that Tyson Fury is going to win this fight, but I'm a superstitious man, and we mentioned before all these different curses coming into play here, right? So you look at the Versace robe that Tyson Fury was wearing, and, you know, you got to look at the other fighters, the past couple of fighters that have worn that. You got Billy Joe Saunders, who just got he got beat up. He got annihilated by Canelo. You look at Jorge Masvidal. He wore that before he went out to go fight Kamaru Usman, and Kamaru Usman gave him the two-piece and the soda.
Jesus did have it on. Street Jesus did have it on. Oh, no.
Conor McGregor had it on before he fought Dustin Poirier the second time around. So, and he got knocked out, right? And then you got – so that's the Versace robe curse right there. Everybody
it's a legitimate curse.
It's legit.
Legit.
Yeah.
But you know, the funny thing is, there's nothing stronger than the one you're about to bring up.
The Drake curse. The Drake curse is strong, bro. Yo, and when I saw Tyson Fury repost that video from Drake this morning, I was like, oh, no.
What are you thinking?
You're like, no, Kevin, no.
No, that's all it takes sometimes. Like, we've seen it all across the board, too, with Drake. We've seen it with UFC fighters, but we've seen it with college basketball, football, all across the board. When Drake starts backing you as an athlete or as a team, you might as well just give up right then and there, because he is a curse. So when I saw that, I was like, all right, Tyson Fury, done for. And then the final piece of the curse is the Ariel Helwani curse. You got Ariel Helwani, you know, the face of the MMA Hour. He used to be with ESPN. And over his past couple of months of like interviewing fighters the week of, you know, he interviewed Mike Chandler, gets knocked out by Charles Oliveira. He interviewed Jorge Masvidal, gets knocked out by Kamaru Usman. He starts doing these little like fireside type of chats with these fighters the week of their fight. You know, it's one thing if he has them on afterwards, they have a cool little chit chat and everything, but he had Tyson Fury on the other day and, you know, week of the fight. So I'm a superstitious kind of guy. I think a lot is lining up right now where, hey, Tyson Fury, he's the betting favorite, but if you are feeling a little risky tonight, then Deontay Wilder might be the place for you to place a little wager, because he's the underdog. There's some money to be made. That's how I'm feeling tonight, yo. I think that Deontay Wilder.
My man, Keith. All right. Let's go. All right, let's see what Tom thinks.
Yeah.
Warming up, Tom.
So, Jonesy, just like you, shameless self-promoter. I recently did a piece for OvertimeHeroics.net about why siblings can't be good at the same time. Why? Not exactly sure, but it's something that we've seen throughout combat sports. And with Tommy Fury on the rise, combined with what Keith just said about all of the superstitions, we know that Tyson Fury should win if it was based on technical boxing, but we know that's not why, or that's not how these things are based. That's why we fight the fights. At the end of the day, I think Tyson Fury is too cocky. He has all the makings of a classic upset. And especially if you're going to put money on it and you're going to try to bet It doesn't make sense to bet on Tyson Fury at, I think he's minus 300 or something. It doesn't make sense, especially with all those superstition. I say lay some money on Deontay Wilder, lay it on him to finish the fight. I think you could get that probably plus 240 on some books, so you can make some money there. All the superstitions. I got to go Deontay Wilder, especially
Bro,
with my pocket.
This is a paradigm shift of epic proportions. Both of my bros that came in here, all three of the people that are here are telling Tyson Fury to hold this L, damn it. Wow. Listen, the way we were talking initially, I thought it was no way you guys weren't going to go with Tyson Fury. See, the more I think I know, the more I think I know nothing. Listen, man, I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's for me, you know, I haven't decided yet. You guys have all swayed me, but you know what? I have some guests that are going to give us their opinion on who they think they want to fight. You know, so buckle up, guys.
Cassius Cam here. Heavyweight boxing is back, hopefully. Got the Bronze Bomber fighting the Gypsy King for the third time. I just don't think the 2-year layoff, the 2 years of new skills, new trainers is going to make much of a difference. Gypsy King's been fighting his whole life. I think you're going to see Deontay try to get on his front foot, miss badly, and then get backed up and beat down once again. I'm taking the Gypsy King, round 6, TKO.
Wow. So look, we got one Gypsy King.
Peace, love, and sandwiches. It's your friendly neighborhood MC Bravado dropping in really quick with a prediction for tonight's fight. I'm going to take the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, over Wilder in the 8th round tonight. I think he's just got his number. If you look at the total number of rounds won, and there's a lot being made ado about what Wilder is going to be able to do in terms of power shots to the body, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think Fury just outclasses him. It lasts a little bit longer, but he gets it done again.
Damn, that's 3-2.
What up, man? It's your boy Salchi with my fight night prediction. First of all, shout out to goodmoneypicks.com. So if you really want to pick for the night, you can go ahead and hit me up over there. But look, as my boy Deontay Wilder said, to this day, he about to get his ass whooped. So take Tyson Fury.
You know, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this guy.
Fight prediction, Wilder Fury. Hey man, I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm going with the redeem team. I'm going with Wilder redeeming his blackness, making up for losing or during Black History Month last time, in a tough fight, in a tough, real drag it out street fight. You know, I think Wilder's going to redeem himself.
And last but not least, the illustrious and praiseworthy one, the great Hotep Jesus.
What's up, y'all? Hotep Jesus. Be back. I got Wilder winning the fight tonight. Going with Wilder. I think he got to redeem himself. I think he probably been training hard. I mean, he was clearly winning the last 2 fights, knockdowns and so on and so forth. Not to take away from Tyson Fury, I think Tyson Fury is a very well-trained fighter. But Fury, you know, he has to tighten up his jab, get some combinations being able to put together. If he can get that into his workout, into his repertoire, and also step up his stamina, his fitness, which are 2 things that are, I believe, easily changeable. And Wilder wins. I heard he got a new trainer, so that's probably good news. So that's my prediction for the fight. Hotep Jesus, man. We got Wilder winning this one. Let's see.
Yeah, be all right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You heard it, man. So listen, we pretty much, you know, we pretty much are Wilder right here. You know, like for me, I've yet to give my prediction because, you know, it's this one's a hard one, man, because all my boxing knowledge, you know, all my years in the sport tells me that, you know, Deontay Wilder only has one path to victory, and that's a knockout. Tyson Fury has several paths to victory. Tyson Fury is the more seasoned fighter. He's the more skilled fighter. Tyson Fury is the bigger guy. He can tie Wilder up. He can tire him out. He can batter him. He can lean on him. He has that skill in the ring. He can turn him, parry him. I mean, he's just eons better in the ring, man. It's not like normally where, you know, you'll have a situation where you're like a Tyson in a Holyfield where, you know, there's kind of a less of a drop off when it comes to ring generalship, you know, or, you know, we can go into like De La Hoya in Trinidad. There's less of a drop off with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is so green in the ring. He's so green in the ring, and he has no. He once his plan goes out the window, he has nothing else to lean on, man. There's nothing. He doesn't know how to tie you up.
Listen, just embrace your inner George Costanza and go with the opposite of what you're thinking, and just do it.
Before I was so rudely interrupted. No. But seriously, man, it's everything in my being is telling me to take Tyson Fury. But what we know about heavyweight fighting is this. One punch changes the world. And if any man has a punch that's going to change the world in one fucking swing, it's the great Deontay Wilder. I'm going with Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury's been laid off for fucking 2 years. You know what I mean? It's going a lot longer than it should have. I think if this fight would have happened when it was supposed to, there was no way Wilder would win. I think that now that it's dragged on, I think that Tyson Fury thought he was going to win that fight. I think that his mind was in a place where he didn't even think he was going to have to get in the ring with this man. And I don't think he really wants to, because it's a very dangerous proposition to get in the ring with a man who can end you. And one reason why I think Deontay Wilder mentally is not affected the way most people are when they lose is because Deontay Wilder in his mind has made everything else the reason for his loss besides himself and his lack of skills. As you once said, which to me was very disappointing, but in his mind, he has like almost a cognitive dissonance where he feels like he was poisoned. He feels like his gloves were fucked up and tampered with, and there's no possible way this man can beat him. Tonight, I think Wilder lands a big shot and gets Fury out of here finally. That's my prediction.
Oh shit! Now I'm a little bit worried because you went 5-0 the last time when we did the UFC stuff, but you were 0 for 1 when you picked Evander Holyfield to win that fight.
Listen, I'm only picking emotion is the enemy of reason.
Holyfield?
No, I didn't. What I did was listen. No, well, listen. I told them. I said I thought that because the company was in trouble.
He was a little worried.
I thought no. I thought the company was in trouble. I was worried about Evander. And I thought that they were going to make dude take a dive to set up a Tyson Holyfield grift. That's what I was saying. Evander Holyfield had a degenerative heart issue back in the 90s when he fought Michael Moorer. You know what I mean? Holyfield's had that problem a long time. And Evander Holyfield's 60 years old. You know what I mean? And then, dude was juiced out of his mind. I was hoping that Holyfield can survive long enough, and they were going to, I thought he was fit enough to survive, to tie him up, and it was going to be bad and sloppy, and they were just going to give it to him so he could fight Mike Tyson. I didn't think Holyfield was going to beat him at 60 years old. Now, if Holyfield was 48 years old, they wouldn't even be in a ring together. Holyfield would kill him in the boxing ring, at 48, not at 60 years old.
Yeah, Vitor Belfort is clearly Triller's new money man over there. They got him calling everybody out.
And nobody's going to fight him, bro. Nobody's going to fight him.
And he's clearly juicing. He's
juiced out of his mind, bro. You can see he's juiced out of his mind. And the funny thing is that everyone he called out is smaller than him. He's like, oh, what are you talking about weight classes? I'm like, motherfucker, that's what every fight sport is about, weight class. What are you talking about, bro? He's calling that guy's half his size, man. Fucking guy's 198 pounds. He's like, I want to fight Manny Pacquiao, even though Manny Pacquiao would knock him out right now.
Just retired.
But I'm just saying, yeah, Manny Pacquiao would knock him out right now. But I'm just a bad example. But I want to fight a flyweight. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. I want to fight a YouTuber. Give me a break, bro.
Everyone.
But listen, my mind is telling me Tyson Fury is going to win the fight, man. But my heart won't let me pick against my blackness.
Well, here, let me make you feel a little bit better about picking Deontay Wilder, because for Deontay Wilder, he's got more motivation to win this fight, right? I mean, Tyson Fury, obviously he wants to win the fight, being undefeated, all of that's there, but that's always there for him. Deontay Wilder, like you said, he made everybody else the reason for getting knocked out, but there's got to be some little sliver of him that wonders, was I ever really champion of the world? Because this is boxing, because there's so many champions. Was I ever really champion of the world? Was that guy I think I am? Was I just knocking down cans? Like, there's going to be a little bit of self-doubt there after just getting starts in the 7th or 8th round by a guy that you think you are nowhere near, you think that you are so much better than. So I think Deontay Wilder he's coming into this, and he's got everything on this. If he wins this fight, he knows that he's solidified in that he was heavyweight champion of the world. He's solidified in the bronze bomber, in the right hand. But if he doesn't win this fight, and Tyson Fury proves that he's that much better than him, what does he have? He has nothing. Yeah.
And another thing is that, and I hate to do this because there's always politics in boxing, and that is one of the things that has turned people off, that are older. I mean, you guys, aren't from that era, but the politics of boxing is what has turned a lot of people off, guys getting robbed. It would be more advantageous for Deontay Wilder to win this fight on decision.
For the whole sport, yeah.
For the whole sport, because he's young. Tyson Fury doesn't have another 5 fights left in his career. You know what I mean? He really does.
He's 33. He's younger than McGregor, isn't he?
Yeah, but the problem with Tyson, it's not age and fighting, it's ring miles. He's got a lot of ring miles, man. He took time off, but Tyson Fury's been fighting since he was an adolescent, man. And he also has issues with mental health and staying focused. You know what I mean? So he's been in the sport a long time. I mean, he's bridging Tyson Fury is bridging the generations. He was in the ring with the Klitschko's. Now he's fighting, so Tyson Fury, once he cleans the division out and he fights AJ and Usyk, and maybe I don't think he's going to fight Andy Ruiz. You know what I mean? He's no reason to fight Luis Ortiz. There's no reason to fight. Ruiz is probably one of the most skilled fighters in the sport, and it's funny because he looks like a fat little kid.
Hey, he looks better now. He looks much better now.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. He needs that weight. He's always been big like that. I've watched that kid since he was an amateur. I remember they used to give him a Snicker bar after he would win and stuff like that. He has one of the most. No, seriously, they really did. He has one of the most decorated amateur careers in the history of boxing. He's a very, very great amateur boxer. He's a great boxer. So I wasn't shocked when he beat Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is not as good as they think. They've been protecting him in the UK for years. To me, he's the new age Frank Bruno. But the thing is, I don't see that being the fight for Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is going to go. He's going to fight Joshua. If he wins tonight, he's going to fight him, probably fight one more fight. He's going to retire. Tyson Fury, if he can retire undefeated, man, there's a wealth of money for him out there.
I push back on that slightly just because what he said so recently about he's got to be fighting, he's got to be active, he needs it for his mental health. I just wonder how that plays into that whole plan. Had he not said that, I probably would agree with you. Just the fact that he had said that out and he said that he wants to remain active, and being active is one of the main things that keeps him sane. I think Tyson Fury, I think a lot of it has actually gotten lost, but he's a really cool story. Actually, both of these guys are both really cool stories of, for Tyson Fury of addiction. And, he, said he found himself like drunk driving his, car 100 miles an hour, like towards a bridge. And, he was at a really dark place, and he has since came back from that, and his whole story of, losing the weight and coming back. That's all phenomenal. And I think he knows himself enough to know that, hey, if I have to fight in order to keep everything, where it needs to be, then I think that's what he might do. And, just to give Deontay Wilder his shine, I mean, his whole story about, I think he started like 23 or 24 because he needed a way to make a lot of money because he had, kids and mouths to feed. So he started boxing, and the only reason that he does boxing is for the money and for his family. So both of these guys, it's really important, I think, to put those stories into perspective too, because it's super entertaining.
You got to get into Wilder's story about his daughter and her having a debilitating sickness.
Right. And that's why he needed all the money, right?
And he fought. So these guys, the intestinal fortitude of these two men, I truly believe are willing to die in the ring. I really believe that. And I think this is going to be exciting. This is everything combat sports is about. And, when I look at combat sports, man, whether we're talking boxing or whether we're talking mixed martial arts, I respect it all. I love it all. You know what I mean? I respect it all. I'm not a guy who is a UFC hater. I just don't like how it's got to be one or the other. They're both great sports. They're good and bad in both. And everything in my mind, everything I know about boxing is telling me Fury's going to win. But you know what has been happening lately is everything that we think we know, we don't know shit. So guys, man, I appreciate you guys coming on, man. I appreciate everybody. Shout out to Hotep Jesus. Shout out to Uncle Hotep. Shout out to MC Bravado. Thank you, man. Shout out to Saul G. Cassius Cam, man. Cassius Cam. Yo, and everybody check out Cassius Cam. Follow him on Twitter, man. Check out his YouTube, man. Check out his videos. That's the man that's rapping in the beginning. The Hotep's been told you he's the ill MC. Check him out, man. Hey, also, man.
Big article coming out soon too. And I want to say, like, for the whole world, I want to thank Keith and Tom, and I know y'all got some other guys, Connor and some other folks and everything. I want to welcome you guys aboard to Men of Order. Like, it's been great having you guys on for just a couple of weeks. Can't wait to see where this goes. So thank y'all for coming on, and thank y'all for joining us tonight. For sure.
Damn right, man. And I can't wait. All the arguments me and Tom are gonna have. I'm loading up. I can see it coming already, David.
That's me every week. I got to butt heads with this guy constantly, but
Listen,
it's fun and it's entertaining. Yeah,
Keith,
absolutely.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Hey guys, so for Chad, Keith, Tom, you guys enjoy the fight, man, and I guess go Wilder, right?
It's where my money is.
Oh man, yo, I
just
next, fellas. What happened?
I just want everyone to have fun.
That's right. That's right, man. That's right, yo. So, listen, everybody enjoy the fight. And please don't hit me too hard if Tyson Fury wins.